I've been brought this little Samsung Galaxy Core Prime, I think it is, and the Digitizer is totally trashed. Although it responds to the buttons, there's no response from the display at all. So we're going to replace it with the new one, and I'll take you through the process of how we're going to do that. Normally what we would do next would be to remove the back cover, all the screws and the motherboard, but this particular model is a little different, and great thanks to Samsung for this brilliant idea. The Digitizer connection is actually attached to the back of the LCD display, so both have to come out to achieve this fix. So underneath this little cover here is the connection for the LCD panel. So the first thing we need to do is to undo that. Just a fingernail under there, and that's removed. And now we have to heat up the screen itself so that we can remove the Digitizer and the screen, possibly as one unit. All is prepared now for heating up the screen and removing it. I put some clear packing tape over this part of the screen, as this is where it's most fractured, and you don't want these little shards of glass getting anywhere when they shouldn't go. I have my implements of destruction. Previously I've used a heat gun for this purpose, and in the past even been known to use a domestic iron. But having a 3D printer now, I find that the printer heated bed makes a pretty excellent platform for heating up screens for not only phones, but also obviously for larger items such as tablets. So let's check that out. Here's the setup with my 3D printer. So we're going to prepare and preheat PLA, and then go into the control menu and set the temperature of the nozzle, put that down to 0, and set the bed temperature to, let's say, 95, which is around about gas mark 0.4. Now we'll leave that 10 minutes, make sure it's warmed all the way through, because we need to get that glue on the LCD below the Digitizer quite soft so that we can get the thing apart. So we'll start at the top of the screen. Just moving around. Now we have to pay attention to where the connection is. So to start, just start moving along the top. Now we can see here the frame of the LCD and the connection here, so that's where we need to keep away from. At the bottom there's more adhesive, so take care there also. Because we're taking the LCD out as well, it's important not to go too far under and to stress it, otherwise we'll have to change the LCD as well. Now there's no buttons on the, well, there's the home button, but there's no wires here, so we don't have to concern ourselves too much with that. And there we are. The next challenge is to remove the actual screen itself. So with this connection, there's a little connection here that should just pop up, and then we should be able to remove that, which is the Digitizer part. Again, we don't want to go too far into the LCD panel. One is to avoid damaging it, and the second reason is that if you do, you're almost certain to get glue. So you can see my spudger there just on the edge where we need to keep it. And we have to be cautious here as well, because here is the connection between the LCD and the control circuit here, so that's quite delicate. There we are, one cracked screen removed. We'll obviously test this before we mount the replacement, but I've managed to avoid getting too much glue and gunk on there to have to clean off. I have just temporarily put the LCD panel back in, and obviously the battery, so that we can check that we haven't caused any damage to the LCD in the removal process. So far so good. Yes, so that's completely fine. So the other thing we're going to do is to test the replacement digitizer before we fit it permanently, just in case there's any problems with it. Obviously if you've removed the thank you. If you've removed the protective films, you won't be able to return the device, so let's get that checked out. Yes, so that's all working well, and don't forget to take the home button. If the home button, as in this case, was still stuck to the old screen, don't forget to take that out. So I have a little bit of glue just on the edge of the LCD panel here, so I'm just going to wipe that off, and I find these less expensive than the other tissues that I was using from Lidl's. They work very well. There's a very small stubborn piece of glue here, so I'm just going to take a cotton bud and some isopropanol. That should remove it. Now comes the fun part, aligning the screens. So first let's just put the LCD in place. Once again, making sure the screen is free of any last pieces of dust. Now we're just going to align things first. So we take off the bottom protective tape, and using the speaker and the home button as sort of registration points, we just lightly put it in place. So we've got to make sure that it will sit evenly in the frame, so do not be concerned about that connection just yet. Just lining things up. So having done that, I'll pop the screen out again. And that is now lined up correctly. And we can replace the connection for the digitizer, making sure that that's fully pressed home before putting the clip down. Once again, before we commit to pressing everything down for the last time, we'll just do another check. So all is good. So now that we're happy that everything is good, we can finally press it down into the frame. Replace the little cover there. And all is good. Another fine fix.